Welcome. I'm Alice Alicia Jones, and this is another one of my Living Consciously videos. I had to adjust the light. I had it in the wrong place, and it made my YouTube screen much too light. You couldn't even see my face. But anyway, I welcome you for joining us, whether you do it now or whether you do it in the future. I do know I have a lot of people that see me much later. Today's topic is another one of the topics that I absolutely love: seeing what is not there. This has kind of been part of my life for quite a while. Um, I'm not even going to talk about sensing or feeling. I'm just going to talk about seeing what is not there. And in a sense, the first one kind of combines both. Um, the all of these are examples from my personal life, everything I have personally experienced. And so I'm not taking other people's stories. And that's why I can share it with you with the conviction that I have. And that and I just hope that every single person who ends up being part of this video takes the time to record the items that happen in their life that are just very unusual. The first thing I'd like to recall is when I knew I was in a dream because I was at a church, and ironically, it combined the visualization of several churches that I had been in. And I was standing on the outside, I was looking at a group of stairs coming down. I was looking across the courtyard, seeing like it had been like the wall of the church had been removed. So I was actually looking at the service that was happening in the church, and kind of marveling that I could basically see what I did. And all of a sudden, I felt this heaviness and this weight, as if somebody had put uh, something around my neck that felt like a boulder. And I looked down, and there, cradled in my arms, was a dear friend of mine who had gone into spirit. And she was a Polish friend, so we shared a special bond. But I asked her, I said, "Bożena, what are you doing here?" And she just kind of looked up at me beatifically. I felt she was about 9 years old because she was a child, but yet she was very recognizable as the person I knew, um, even though I felt she was a 9-year-old. She had so much weight, it was so heavy that I had well, think of, a 9-year-old is gonna be what, 70 pounds, 60 pounds? Um, so I had a hard time holding her, but as she smiled at me and as we were coming down, a group of stairs, she literally leapt out of my arms, leapt took a couple of leaps down the stairwell, and with one of the leaps turned into a butterfly. And I feel that this was a sign for me that she accepted the transformation that she knew was possible when you went into spirit. But her husband hadn't accepted any part of her spiritual journey. He just bashed it. So she had a hard time. She had a real struggle with it. But anyway, she had a wonderful group of friends that kind of supported her journey, and I was one of those. And I was just very, very happy to have had her in my life for the number of years that I did. So anyway, that was intriguing to me. The second thing I wanted to discuss with you, one of my students recently asked me, "What's the strangest thing that has happened to you?" And I started thinking, well, this is strange. This is strange. This is strange. This is strange. But this is amongst one of the strangest things. Um, Typically, in the course of a night's sleep, I will get up between 2 and 3 in the morning to go to the bathroom. Maybe sometimes later, sometimes earlier. But anyway, I walked in, and this is before we had a nightlight in the bathroom. For a number of years, a great number of years, we didn't have a nightlight. And I noticed as I was approaching the bathroom that there was a light emanating from it. I walked in, and there is a lit candle on the surround around my bathtub. The surround is quite large, and so I had 5 candles there, but to this day, I keep that candle. That candle had been given to me as a birthday gift by one of my neighbors, and I keep it to this day. I went up to it, I looked at it, and according to the melted wax, it had just been lit. I knew my husband was sound asleep, had been sound asleep because I had kind of tossed and turned for a few minutes. So I knew that there's absolutely no possibility of him having lit it. Plus, there was no evidence of any kind of matches. So that was an amazing thing to walk into a room and find a lit candle that had just been lit in the middle of the night. One of the most interesting things I've experienced was when I was waiting for a friend. I was at a restaurant and it had an oilcloth on the as a covering over the table. You just don't see that anymore. But this was a number of years ago, and I think uh, I was in Occoquan, and they had a lot of their buildings are old, and I think a lot of their fixtures are old, and including the equipment. So this was a way of preserving it. And I'm just sitting there very, very quietly, just waiting, not really paying attention, but and um, just feeling as if I were very relaxed. And I looked down at the tablecloth. There's a pattern on the tablecloth. The field was blue. There were daisies, small ones, and there were geometric shapes like diamonds and little red balls as part of a repeating pattern on this tablecloth. That tablecloth became alive. The blue felt like I was looking into a depth like water, like I was at the surface looking into something that had dimension. And the daisies floated not on top, but within the blue. And the little red dots and the little geometric shapes also kind of had and all I can say is an appearance that they were alive. Absolutely fascinating to me. And the irony was I would blink and I would see the regular tablecloth. Then I'd blink again and I'd be in this dimension. I'm presuming I was in the fifth dimension. I'm presuming that I had just gone into a space that was a higher dimension that what I had in, because not only were they was it a different elevation, but they were also larger. When I looked at them, the daisies were larger, the balls were larger, the geometric shapes, and the blue field was there was movement in it. So, anyway, that was wild. Uh, and but again, blinking, seeing one, then seeing the other come back to the regular tablecloth, that was fascinating too. Uh, so I had another experience quite similar to this one. Um, this is where I was typing forms, filling out forms, I should say, and was very, very intent on what I was doing, excluded all um, thoughts of anything else. And all of a sudden, the keyboard became alive. And I'm not going to say it doubled in size, but it increased by at least 50% or more. And the keyboard just became uh, again, I had the sense that there was consciousness within that keyboard. I didn't stop to communicate with it. I just looked at it and I could, again, blink, go down to the regular keyboard, blink, have the elevated keyboard, blink, regular, blink, elevated. So that fascinated me. The fact that one little shift in in um, just a blink could take me back into 3D, or it could take me out of 3D into a higher dimension. So, and the other thing, this was separate. This was a separate occasion. But there was, again, another time where I was at a keyboard, at a computer, very, very intensely focused on the work I was doing to the exclusion of all other thoughts. And all of a sudden, the entire rim of the inside of the keyboard lit up with a brilliant blue light. And my understanding is that we have around everything is a brilliant blue light. We just don't see it because we're not there. But in this case, I saw it around my keyboard. So that was quite exciting. Um, one more similar thing, not exactly similar, but somewhat similar, was when I was at a ballet performance. And this happened to be with the Mariinsky Ballet troupe from Russia. This was at a time when I know the Mariinsky Ballet and the Bolshoi Ballet have merged because when COVID hit, they realized that their lives had changed, probably permanently. And so they merged, but this is when they were two separate troops vying for their own audience. And the first half of the performance, I just, you know, loved the performance, saw nothing special happening. And the gal that I was with, the one who had gifted me the tickets, at the intermission said, "Isn't their energy amazing?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And because I didn't exactly know what she was talking about. And she goes, "Oh, the energy that's coming off their bodies." And I look and I think and I say, "Geez, I didn't see any energy." And then I thought, she saw it, I can see it because she was just one of my fellow ministers at Rays of Healing. And there's no way in the world that I was going to allow somebody else to have an experience that I knew I could have too. So when the performance started again, I very intently focused on the dancers with to the exclusion of anything else. And sure enough, there were, and it looked like, the way I can best describe it is when you have the crescent moon, that how that shape right there, that shape was in different colors. Some had it emanating from their shoulders, some had it emanating from their arms, both forearm and the back arm. Some had it emanating around their heads, some around their body. The colors were neon, neon purple, neon red, neon blue, neon green. It was amazing. And again, I did the same thing. I blinked and I could watch the performance, I could watch the dance. I blinked and then I saw the energy and I was paying attention to the energy. And so I did this about, oh, maybe 10 times. And I realized, wow, wait a minute. By watching the energy, I'm missing the performance. So, because I was so focused on seeing these licks of energy that made me feel like this is unbelievable. This is magnificent. So, anyway, just know the next time you go to a ballet performance, absolutely, um, watch that and see if you can exclude all other thoughts and keep your focus and concentration so intense that you will see the energy. You can do that actually watching anything. You can watch, uh, let's say, a concert, orchestra, or a symphony orchestra, or a small group. What I'm being shown in my mind's eye right now, you can see the same thing watching your children play. And you can see the energy emanating off of your children. So I truly feel that we will get to a place where we will be able to see all energy from every single emotion that every person is carrying. And I feel it's not that far in the future. The number I get is 20. So I'm going to say by what this is 2023. So maybe by 2043, we will all have that gift. I've been given that indication several times now. So it's not that unusual for me to. Um, I mean, I sense people's energy, I can feel their energy, and I see it only when I watch them against a background that is clear colored, well, light colored, and usually, if there's nothing behind a person, most of the time, if you're against a white wall, you will be able to see a person's energy field. So uh, just try it, just absolutely try it for yourself. The last thing, well, no, I'm sorry, this isn't the last. The next thing that I wanted to tell you, which was charming, I felt, because a friend and I had gone up to Omega Institute to listen to do a 5-day retreat from a speaker from Australia, and his name was Michael Rhodes. And I had never seen a picture of him, so I had just been encouraged to go to listen to him because he was such a great speaker. And as I approached a group of people, and I know that two of them were the organizers of the event because their picture I had seen. And as I approached them and turned to look as to who they were speaking, the man that I'm looking at had elfin ears. and I knew that he was the guest speaker, and he was the presenter of the program, and he was. And because he was so tied to the nature kingdom that I basically saw a past life of his when he actually was an elf himself. And since then, I have been able to recognize people who are fairies. I've been able to recognize people who are elves. I've been able to, and this isn't really seeing a person, but I know I crossed a bridge once, and the gal who always works with nature stopped me and she said, "What do you see?" And I just kind of looked at it and I said, "Oh, a troll." She's, "You see it." And within the foliage, there was a glimmer of a troll. So it, again, awareness, increase your awareness of what is possible. Along with this, I want to share two more things about fairies. Since I'm on this, I'll probably talk about them again. But if you put your arms out and the periphery, at your periphery vision, if you ever see twinkling lights, those are fairies. They're making their presence known to you. And also, if you're walking through the woods and all of a sudden you feel cobwebs, I'll guarantee you, spiders do not weave cobwebs from branch to branch. They weave a web that is intact. But if you're feeling cobwebs as you walk through the woods, those are fairies. That's an evidence of fairies. So please do, again, just be aware of it. I do want to end with one story that a friend told me, and then I'll finish up with my own. He said he once watched a movie, and in one of the scenes, and it wasn't a horror movie, but it had spiritual elements in it. And in one of the scenes, a man was on a bed, and around that bed were 12 hooded beings, like dwarfs, little people, but there was 12 of them. And they all had hoods and you couldn't see their faces. And he said he woke up one day or one night. I can't remember day or night, but those same group of beings were around his bed. He said it scared the bejesus out of him, but they didn't do anything. They were just around the bed. And the I'm just going to end with this story. The strangest thing that I've had happen as I was in my bed, sleeping, went into a lucid dream. All of a sudden, the bedroom disappears. I'm in a spaceship, but the wall that contains the window is still there. The window opens, disappears, and I fly out into the cosmos. And I remember seeing who my seatmate was. And he was the gentleman who introduced me to A Course in Miracles. So, and I felt the spaceship elevating, and I felt the movement out into the cosmos. So that was kind of neat. But anyway, that's it for today. I don't have the topic yet for what I'm supposed to present next week. Sometimes my guides are pretty stubborn and they don't tell me until I'm sitting there and saying, "Okay, I've got to come up with a subject." And then all of a sudden I get it. So I don't know, but I think I know Facebook will alert you because I do post it on Facebook. I don't post it on YouTube. But thank you for being here. I will see you. Will I see you next week? No, I won't. I will be on my way to New York to celebrate my grandson's 7th birthday. So I will not be here next week, but I will be here the following week. And thank you again, and have a great week despite the smoke and despite what's happening out there. Just protect yourself and have a great week. Thank you. Bye now.